Yo, what is going on, guys? Colton here with the Grizzly Life podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Episode 85 of many. We are nearing that 100 mark. If any of you have great ideas on what we should do for episode 100, let me know. The odds are I'm probably going to do a very bad job at planning episode 100. I'm not going to think far enough in advance. I'm going to be talking to you about it right now, but we're probably going to get to 98 and be like, shit, we didn't plan anything for episode 100. And either I'm going to come up with something on the fly, or it's just going to be another episode of me talking to you. So today is Thursday that you are listening. It is Tuesday for me. I just got back from Denver last night, and for those of you locals who know, football, for those of you listening and know why I went out there, I'm a Denver Broncos fan. And for those of you before you judge me, I was born and raised a Denver Broncos fan. I'm not a bandwagon fan. My grandpa never really watched professional sports. My dad grew up in the John Elway era and started liking, watching the Broncos at that time. Terrell Davis, Rod Smith, Ed McCaffrey, right? These old school Broncos players. When he was in like elementary, middle school or whatever, or high school, whatever it would have been. And then, my family, mainly G and I, my mom and sister don't really watch. But my brother and I, G the producer, we are Broncos fans. We were born into it. So we enjoy, don't get me wrong, the Packers are great. I love Wisconsin for how much they care about, basically beer, cheese, and football or whatever you want to say. But I do love watching the Broncos and the Packers play. It's always a good game. And if I can, if my team that I like to watch can beat the Packers, in a sense, it's a good feeling. But only because I live here, I deal with everybody here and how much they love the Packers. I never get that. Like for you guys, you Packer fans, or like any local sports, really, it's not just the Packers, but you get to like talk to your people all the time, and you get to like jaw jack about the sports and the teams and what's going on with like your team. I don't ever really get that opportunity because, I'm a Denver fan here in Wisconsin, right? So when I go out to Denver and I get to talk to Denver fans and we get to like celebrate the game together, I'm sure that's how you guys feel when you get to go to the local games here. So, but I do enjoy watching all football, so it's just a good time going out there. We booked back in June when we found out that the Packers and Broncos would be playing. We're like, okay, we have to go out to Denver this year to watch it. And so we did. Not every year do the Broncos and Packers get to play. I know I've watched them like a preseason game or two before, but the Broncos, if you follow football, have not been that great the last 10 years or so since they won the Super Bowl. So anyways, my trip out to Denver, it was a great trip. We left Thursday afternoon. Flight was delayed, so that was kind of crappy. It was delayed by like almost 2 hours. So we were supposed to be getting in at like 4:30, a good time to have dinner and get to bed on time. For those of you who know me, I like to sleep at the same time and be in a routine. I kind of threw that out the window this weekend, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my weekend here. But so flight was delayed Thursday, got in late, and then basically went to bed. And then Denver traffic's always kind of shitty getting in from the airport. Coming into the city is always bad. But anyway, so Friday was the day of checking out the mountains. So we went up to Estes Park. We got to see a little bit of nature. We were driving around in the mountains, saw some mule deer and yeah. So anyways, Friday was more of a sightseeing kind of day. Saturday was more of like the drink some Bloody Marys and like get to see the city a little bit and check out some local bars. We are from Wisconsin, so we do like to do that. So Saturday was hang out around, meet some locals. There's actually a Wisconsin bar there called, I think it was Willie's Wisconsin Bar. Tons of Packer fans. It was super cool. The only unfortunate thing was if you have a vertical ID, you're not allowed to drink at that bar. So I don't know, it was weird. There are certain bars that if you had a vertical ID, you weren't allowed to drink. Even though we're from Wisconsin, we have a Wisconsin ID and we're, of age. So that caused some issues. And so there's a couple bars that we couldn't drink there. But no big deal. So anyway, Saturday was more of like a get to know the town, get to see some new bars, some new places, kind of walk around. And then Sunday was game day, right? So anyways, went to the game Sunday. It was a fantastic game. If you guys watched, you Packer fans I thought it was a good game. I know everybody, any team's going to be upset when your team loses, but playing in Denver is already tough enough. The fans are crazy there. I mean, it's just super loud. Packers fans traveled really well. It was really cool to see. I mean, all of the Packers fans, we were sitting in the upper deck, so it was just ecstatic to kind of see everything and then be able to see the mountains behind the stadium. It's a really cool environment. So Packers fans traveled really well. They were keeping it loud and noisy too. The Broncos fans were loud and yeah, it was a good game. If you guys watched it, and this episode's not to talk about the game, but it was a good game. There was points scored. I'm happy it wasn't a low scoring game. I'm happy it was it was a good time. So game went well. And then into Monday, again, flight got delayed like 30 minutes. I don't know what was going on, but I think the plane coming into Denver was delayed for some reason. So anyway, so that was my weekend. It was a great time. We got back yesterday at like 4 o'clock-ish and then had to drive home. We did fly out of Madison. It was a direct flight, so that's always easiest. For those of you who do fly all the time, I'm just not a big connecting flight. It just sucks, and then you get your, in and out of airports is no fun. So anyways, that was my weekend. I have a couple notes for you guys from the weekend. So I made a note here. Actually, I'm going to come back to this. I'll come back to a story here in a second for the weekend, but I'm going to give you guys some gym updates and some other things going on in business. Today's going to be a shorter episode. We don't have a ton of time, so I apologize for that, but I'm going to give you some gym updates, and then I've got like one note I want to leave you guys with that I was thinking about the other day, and it's actually going to kind of relate back to being out in Denver as well. So real quick, some updates. If you are a Watoma gym member, hopefully you guys saw that we got the new window in. Instead of that piece of OSB or plywood that we had up in the window for a long time. I can assure you the piece of plywood is better than the tarp that we started with after the window was broken into, but we do have a new window there. So that is awesome. It looks much better, and hopefully you guys enjoy maybe seeing that when you drive by or going into the gym. It doesn't look so shitty. I know some people were wondering about that. So the glass has been repaired. That is an unfortunate situation, by the way. So if you are a Watoma member and know anything about what happened and the guy who had he actually had gone into the gym and then broken out of that window. We don't need to talk about all the details, but we actually had to front the money to get that repaired. I'm not sure that we'll ever see the money coming back from the individual who broke it, with that whole the legal process, but that was money that had to come right out of our pocket to repair something like that. So that is unfortunate. So another update. So for those of you that know, and I know I mentioned a couple times here on the pod, we did buy a building in Princeton right next to our gym. The upstairs was an apartment, and the downstairs is like a rented unit as well. We are renovating, or we're just cleaning up the apartment upstairs so that can get re-rented back out. And then the lower unit, I'm not going to really go into detail, but we do have some intentions on utilizing that for the community as well. So it won't just be, we didn't buy the building just to have like rentals, basically. We are going to try to give back and do a little bit more there. So we'll see once the tenant downstairs moves out at our Princeton facility. We're giving her the time she needs. We didn't ask her to move out right now because we don't have the time to really work on that project, but we do have some ideas for that lower space, and we will update you when we know. The reason I can't really tell you a whole lot is because I tend to oversay things, and then it takes me it takes us as a company too long to get them done, or we change our mind 13 times, so we don't have a definitive plan yet, so I don't want to release anything there. Another update for you guys, and I've been saying this basically the last handful of episodes, the weekly emails are going great. We are sending out 2 emails a week. I am just talking about, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just give you a quick recap. We're doing emails Tuesdays and Thursdays, the same days the podcast goes out. And they're basically emails about things that I am learning, things that I'm going through, parts of my fitness journey, and kind of how they can relate back to you and things that you guys should maybe think about. So if you are in fitness, if you're getting into fitness, if you are even reading, I do mention a lot of the books that I read as well. So I'll pull out important quotes from there. It's not like a book recommendation email thing, but I do reference back to the books that I read and how they've impacted my life and changed my fitness routine and my health routine, right? So those emails are going really well. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're getting quite a few people to open them and check them out, getting some positive feedback there. So they are not essays. They're not these massive long emails. They are emails from me to you as an individual. Again, just kind of walking you through what's going on and how you can improve your day-to-day life. I'm talking about like breathing and sleeping and just like some very simple things that are overlooked and simple. Another update, we've got our staff Christmas party this weekend. Super excited for that. So, small story, we've been having this Christmas party now for the last like 5-ish years. The first Christmas party that I really remember, and maybe there was one before this, but like the one that always comes to my mind is the year of 2020, so COVID year. And we're in our original Princeton office, and it's not many of us, right? There's like a handful or two handfuls of people, and that's like my mom, my dad, Ellie, who is obviously still with us, her husband, her son, so like her family, right? And then I want to say like Nolan, Kyle, and two of my other friends were there, right? Like, and we just kind of happened, like, it wasn't even really planned Christmas party, and we didn't have any food or anything like that. We basically were just like having a couple beers in the office, and then we just all kind of got together, and it was like right around that Christmas time. And so going from that to now what's going to be this next Christmas party, and between Grizzly Fitness and Priority Fitness and how large of a team we really have, it's not convenient for all of our staff because, we're going to do it here in Watoma. That's where the most of us are from, so it's not going to be convenient for all of our staff to come. And I'm aware of that, and I wish it was easier for all of us to get together and do stuff. But to think about how far we've come and how much we've grown, and the families that we work with, and just like that special moment of like getting as many people as we can together. I mean, without all of those people in that room at that time, I mean, like that at this party when we get together every year, without all those people in that room, Grizzly Fitness and Priority Fitness wouldn't be what it is. And so I'm extremely thankful for them. I'm extremely grateful for them. I know they count on me, or some of them count on me for, providing for their friends and family, or, for their family, right? So it's a very cool time to get together. And each year we've grown and gotten bigger, and more people show up, and different family members, and, just like we meet so many other people through our team that we didn't even know about. So anyways, it's very cool. It's a very good time of year. I love getting together with people. We usually get together for like a handful of hours. We have some drinks. We provide food now. It's turned into a much bigger thing, like I said, than 5-6 years ago. So anyways, Christmas party is coming soon for our staff. This is a private party, so if you're listening, this is not a Grizzly Fitness gym party by any means. This is just a staff appreciation thing that we do every year. So thinking back, those are just a couple notes that I had. So going back to this weekend, Saturday night, we won't get into too much detail, but essentially we were at a Mexican restaurant. Who doesn't like Mexican food? It was great. And we met the owner. Well, there's two owners. It's a father-son, which is just super cool. And for those of you that like go out, and meeting new people is one thing, but then like hearing the story and the why, and like why they're in business and doing what they're doing is just so awesome. So what happened here is there's this guy bartending, and he's doing a great job. And we say, hey, we want to do a shot of tequila. Like, give us something that, we wanted to try this one kind of tequila. And he goes, actually, I want you to try this other one. And we're like, okay. And he ends up giving us this like long story on this certain kind of tequila and where it's from and why it's better for you. And then he ends up telling us that like he's part owner, but he also wanted to be different than all of these other like Mexican restaurants. So what he did was he basically went to he became like a tequila expert, similar to like those people who become really good at like smelling and tasting wine and can tell you exactly what's in there. He's like a level, I don't know don't quote me on it, but there's like certain levels of like your expertise in tequila. And so he went, and he's like a level 2 expert in tequila, and he can give you the exact notes and like just all of these really cool things, right? So we're like, wow, that was really cool. So not only did we buy a shot, we got a story about this certain tequila brand, and it was more of a show than just, again, pouring us a shot and being a normal bartender. So one, that was really cool. Just different, and a different experience than we never really have. And it was just a normal, like a really cool Mexican restaurant, but nothing crazy. And it was in our hotel, so that's why we were here. We were finishing up, having our dinner, and just kind of hanging out in this place. So then he tells us he's the owner of the place, and then, or he's like a partner in the place, and he goes, yeah, the other one's right there. That's my dad. And so this guy named Arturo, we start talking to him, and the reason I'm kind of going down this is like just meeting people and hearing their story is so powerful. And I obviously want to get our story out as much as I can, and our team story, and kind of like how this has all come together. But we ended up talking to the dad for a while, and he had a very unfortunate story. But he was telling, I won't tell his story, but why he came from Mexico, and he was telling us a story, and he did it. His story was very impactful, and his dad grew up in they grew up in Mexico, and his dad ended up he passed away due to an incident down there that was very unfortunate for him. And so he was opening up and telling us these deep stories, and we had some shots with him and some drinks with him, just like hanging out, really getting to know him. And so this isn't about drinking. This isn't about like any of that. The reason I'm bringing this up is one note that I made the other day was like finding like fulfillment in life. And that's like the top level of like feeling a level of feeling fulfilled is like what we all strive to do and achieve. And it's really fulfillment is not an easy reach. It's not easy to achieve. And so the more I was thinking about fulfillment for like me, and I think for a lot of people, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I know there's different people out there, but fulfillment in life, like helping others and meeting people and like really having an impact on like humanity and doing as much as you can, I think is very important. Meeting Arturo and his son, hearing their story and how like it, just like how empowering that is, and to be able to help support their business, regardless of it regarding alcohol, right? But like helping their business and feeling like, even though we spent money there, it was like for a good cause and for a good family. And there's more, the exchange there was much more important than just going out to a bar or restaurant and getting food. So knowing who you're buying from and knowing who you're doing business with and getting to know that. But like the note I had here is, again, it's like fulfillment in life. It's not an easy thing to accomplish. It's not an easy, like it's something we're always chasing and understanding like, why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? What are we doing this for? Finding that true fulfillment. And I think the more that you can do to give back to people and understand what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and thinking about how that impacts everybody else. So for example, like Priority Fitness is a fitness equipment install and moving company, right? It just sounds like we're a bunch of grunts and moving stuff, but we're providing a service to allow people to become healthier and more fit and care about them, right? So finding that true, like making that connection to what you do in your day-to-day life and why it's more important for the bigger picture, not just to go collect a paycheck, not just to go like work and work for somebody else, but understand what you do and why it impacts other people and how it impacts other people. And again, the bigger picture. And now I'm not saying that picture is the right one for you, but understanding it from a top down, a different perspective of what you do and how important it is to the world and to keep things moving. Like there's a job for everyone, there's a position for everyone, and there's things that we need to do to all work together and achieve and accomplish those things. But true fulfillment, I believe, comes from like impacting as many people as you can, helping improve the lives of as many people as you can, touching the lives of as many people as you can, right? Like really, again, spreading your message, your word, but also like the charity aspect, like the giving back. And I think once you start reaching and achieving those things, you really start feeling fulfilled and like you're being impactful. So some of the things that have been in my mind lately, right, is like me being the age that I am, I'm concerned about like old age, right? Like, and I tell you guys all of this all the time. Like I want to be fit now, so I'm fit when I'm 70, 80, 90. But I think about afterlife. I think about like how did I impact the world? How did I leave? When I do leave, like I think a lot about that. And it's not something I don't enjoy thinking about it. Like nobody I don't think enjoys thinking about end of life. But thinking about like what can I do now so when I do leave here, in a short time on earth, like how can I give back as much as possible? How can I leave this a better place than I found it, right? Like those things, right? You start asking those questions and you think about charities and you think about, again, like meeting people, so there's so many different options. It's not just what I want to do, but like thinking about your life and how you can help more people. And I just think once you start putting that mindset forward first, and I'm not saying giving 60, 70, 80 hours a week of like your life to just giving back, but like the more you can give back and the more you can impact people, I think that is when we really start feeling fulfilled. And I think a lot of us question, like, why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing, right? How do we end up on this earth, right? Like these big questions that are hard to answer or hard to understand for our, for us as humans. I just think it's important to think about fulfillment and how to, that's the connection I'm trying to draw for you guys. So I don't know if it would be like I'm not a philosopher. Like this isn't my field of like, whatever I'm trying to explain to you, but understanding like attacking that that feeling of fulfillment, I think is, we talk about depression and like, what is life even for? And like, why are we doing what, these, again, very hard questions. I just think you can relate them back directly to like, what are we doing to help other people? And I think once you start helping more people and doing those things, that you'll really start feeling better about yourself and just the change that you can have, even if it's on a handful of people. It doesn't have to be on, helping the world, but every person that you make smile today, every person that whatever, there's an impact there. So that's my message for you today is thinking about fulfillment and how you can really have that feeling of being fulfilled. Again, I don't know a better way to say this. I'm not, this isn't my forte, but something that I've been thinking about lately, again, is that end of life, that impact on the world, that, that story I leave behind, that, the family that I've created, right? Like those things is where my mind has been a lot. So how do you set your family up for success once you leave here? How do you set, just stuff like that? So, anyways, think about it. That's what I've got for you guys today. Hopefully I'm not confusing you on what I'm trying to say. I just don't have better words to say it right now. As I get older and understand more things, I try to put this all together and bundle it up and explain it as good as I can. Sometimes it's difficult, especially me talking to the camera, not with somebody about something similar like this. So anyways, I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully you guys smile when you think about the Packer game and the Broncos beating them and stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys and have a good one. I will see you soon. Have a great weekend.